14.2 Client 2. I've negotiated short-term and long-term targets with my client. These targets relate to his health and not to improve a sporting performance, as he is not involved with any sports teams inside or outside of school. Firstly, my client wants to reduce their resting heart rate. So cardio-related exercise will be able to lower his heart rate. His heart rate will be recorded with a heart rate monitor before the program begins, and then every 3 weeks to see if he has reached his target. This will benefit his general health, as his heart will be under less strain in everyday life to pump the oxygenated blood around his body. The next target my client wants to achieve is a reduce in blood pressure. As a result of the decreasing heart rate, the blood pressure will reduce also. So this is due to cardio training. This decrease in blood pressure decreases the damage that is caused to the arteries, as less force is being exerted on the artery walls. Therefore, will reduce his risk of having a stroke or heart attack, which will benefit his general health. His blood pressure will be recorded using a blood pressure monitor. This will be recorded before the training program begins, and also at week 3 and then week 6 to see where he has improved. Also, my client wants to improve their BMI. This will be done by doing cardio and resistance training. The reduce in BMI will consequently be a result of weight loss. This will have a positive impact on his health, as there will be less impact applied to his joints and bones when walking due to a lighter weight that he has to carry around. This in turn will reduce the effects of wearing down the cartilage in joints and putting less pressure on the bones during movement. His BMI will be recorded before the training program at 3 weeks and at 6 weeks. It will be recorded by taking his height and weight at the time, and then calculating his BMI. Also, my client wants to build muscle, so gain in muscular strength. Week 1. So the warm-up for week 1, firstly, he'll be walking on the treadmill for 5 minutes on a steep incline. This is because the steeper incline will make the client work harder, therefore raising their heart rate, but not too much so that it leads to exhaustion, as this is the first training session that my client would have done, and probably the first bit of exercise my client would have done in ages. So I don't want to put too much strain on the heart to cause him to be unwell. The stretches I'd like him to complete is walking lunges, squats, hamstring stretches. The hamstring stretches consist of the client raising his foot and then sweeping the floor, so it causes a stretch in the hamstring. I like him to do 5 reps of these exercises on each leg. These stretches will prepare the muscle groups that he'll be using during the exercise, so that ligaments, tendons and muscles are more pliable, so therefore will reduce the injury risk when the client is doing exercise. The cool down consists of a 5-minute walk on the treadmill, an RPE of 4, as this will allow the waste product of carbon dioxide to be removed, as the heart rate and breathing rate will still be elevated after exercise due to the walk, so that gas exchange happens more frequently, allowing the removal of carbon dioxide through the diffusion gradient. Next, I'd like my client to do static stretching for their legs. So this includes their quadriceps, hamstrings, and gastrocnemius. So the quadriceps stretches as if they lean against the wall and then lift their leg up, so it causes flexion at the knee until they feel the stretch in their quadriceps. Then the gastrocnemius stretches, they put one leg in front of the other and lean against the wall, and then push against the wall, and they should feel it in the stretch in their calf. And finally, I'd like them to sit on the floor with their legs out straight and then try and touch their toes. This should cause a stretch in their hamstring. This allows the muscles and tendons and ligaments to have a further range of motion and will not become stiff after exercise has been completed. My client has no other sporting commitments throughout the week, so he is free every day after school. However, for the first week of the exercise program, I'm only going to do 1 main session and another flexibility session on a different day. This is due to the fact that my client doesn't do any physical activity. Therefore, if he did more than 1 session in the first week, He might become exhausted as his body is not used to the demand of the exercise, so his body needs time to adapt to the changes. So firstly, he doesn't cause himself an injury, and secondly, so we don't put his health at risk, i.e. putting too much strain on his heart. So my first main session will be on the Tuesday. So my client on the Tuesday will be working aerobically, so 60 to 70% of his maximum heart rate for 10 minutes on a treadmill. The reason for this is because this type of training will help the client reach all his targets, as aerobic training causes cardiac hypertrophy, and as a result, this decreases their resting heart rate, as the heart doesn't have to work as hard. Consequently, because the heart rate has reduced, so will the blood pressure, because there will be less strain put on the artery walls. I have started the duration of training at 10 minutes, as I feel that because my client doesn't do any exercise normally, that his body and heart isn't used to the extra demand that exercise brings upon the body. Therefore, his body needs time to adapt to the changes, otherwise his health might be at risk by doing long durations of endurance exercise. I have added a flexibility session on the Thursday. The reason for the flexibility session is because increasing flexibility is a good way to lose weight and reduce the injury risk when completing exercises. An increase of flexibility allows my client to increase the range of movement they have, therefore allowing them in the future to complete exercises to their full potential, as their limbs will be able to fully extend, getting the full benefits from the exercise that they are doing. I have started the reps and sets low to begin with. This is because my client's flexibility is poor. Therefore, if I put too much strain on the ligaments, tendons, and muscles with a large repetition of reps, then there is a likely chance that my client will cause themselves an injury, as the muscle is not used to being stretched so frequently. So my client will be doing 2 sets of 5 reps of each exercise with a 30-second rest between each set. The first exercise my client will be doing with the resistance band is a pike stretch. So they have the band above their head with their legs out straight, and they have to try and touch their chest towards their knees. They will hold this stretch for 6 to 8 seconds. The next stretch I'd like them to do is a hamstring stretch. So they lay on their back with their leg out straight, and then put the resistance band on the sole of their foot, lift their leg up, and then bend their knee slightly. Then extend their leg again, and they should feel a stretch down the back of their leg, so their hamstring. Also, I'd like them to do a shoulder stretch. So if they have the band out in front of them, holding the band with both hands and then stretching the band, so pulling their arms away from each other. This should cause a stretch in their shoulders. I've chosen a wide range of stretches to do to focus on all different areas of the body, as all different areas of the body need improving in their flexibility, as this will generally help the movement of my client.